Hello, Virgo! So I'm very happy to say, as a fellow mercurial being, because both Virgos and us Geminis are ruled by Mercury, that Mercury is now direct. Now, is Mercury retrograde the worst thing in the world? No. I don't think there's a worse thing in the world. All challenges that come our way, and even though Mercury retrograde definitely has full of challenges, it does have so many gifts too. And so it's a wonderful time to introspect, to reflect, to look on the past, to figure out what wasn't quite working, and also identifying certain things subconsciously within ourselves and also in the external world need to be addressed, need to be resolved, need to be worked on. And that's what's really beautiful about Mercury retrograde, because if Mercury never went retrograde, well, that would mean a whole other thing for our solar system astronomically. I can't imagine what that would look like. But okay, for purposes of metaphor speaking, or example speaking, if Mercury never went retrograde, we would never really take the time, and this is very valuable for us Virgos and Geminis, we would never take the time to really slow down and ask ourselves, what am I thinking? How do I bring my deepest thoughts to the surface? What do I need to work on? What do I need to learn? What did I already learn? What did I learn in the past? What do I need to remind myself of? What do I need to remember? And this isn't only pure knowledge. We're also talking about ideas. We're also talking about just thoughts and observations in general. Because Mercury is a lot more than just information. It's about comprehending the information and applying the information. Maybe it's not the energy that gives us the energy needed to apply it, but it's what identifies, okay, this is what it is. This is what is. Here's the labels, here's the understanding, here's the description, the definition. We got it in here, understood. This is what we need to do. This is the solution. This is the technique. This is the end result. This is the timeline. Go. That's what Mercury is really helpful with. So, with Mercury going direct, this is a really it's nice that we're out of that time period. Not so much because Mercury was retrograde, but because it was retrograde at a time when it was in an energy square Mars and Saturn. That's always Mars and Saturn too are wonderful. And, I don't agree about demonizing any part of the astrological understanding system. Um, but they are tough, even in Capricorn, which they both function really quote unquote nicely there. But just goes to show, just because an energy is in dignity or exaltation, they still are tough. So present a lot of challenges, especially as they're interacting with other energies. So we've had Sun in Aries, Mercury in Aries, Venus in Aries this last lunar cycle. Now, and that's been all square each other, so that's been quite tough, especially with Mercury retrograde. So for us in particular, we've had to dealing with a lot of anger, a lot of misunderstandings. Now, to be fair, a lot of the anger has come from other people. It's come from, or for you as a Virgo, it's come from other people not quite being able to handle their shit, basically, and then you having to try and fix what they mess up, and that's where your anger comes from. And trying to resolve all that has been tricky, but we're out of that now. Now, are certain elements of that still present? Yes, let's go ahead and explore that. But we are looking at a major shift forward. So the chief element of that is still present is Mercury will be in Aries until May 13th, basically for all but the last 2 days of this lunar cycle. So this is actually quite nice. I see this as being a wonderful time for you of being able to identify, as we mentioned in the last New Moon News edition, being able to identify who you are. You're so selfless as a Virgo. You're so caring of others to the point of detriment sometimes, that it can be difficult to remember, wait, hold on. Before I devoted all my time and analysis and thoughtful energy and service to other people, what was I about? What do I wish to accomplish? What do I need? I know that can feel a little bit selfish, but you need to be selfish sometimes. We all need to be, it's not so much selfish, but more self-centered, of what do I need? How do I take care of those needs? What do I wish to accomplish? How do I fulfill myself? These are all questions that we need to ask to be happy. And if we're not happy, we're not going to be able to interact with others in the most positive, most productive way possible. And we're not going to be able to contribute our highest good to the planet in general. So there is actually an essential need, there's an essentially selfless need to take care of ourself. And that's something to keep in mind. Now, of course, does that mean like, oh, I need 3 golden toilets? Okay, no, obviously not. You only need 2 golden toilets. But anything that anything that you really don't need, that's obviously it's good to be very selfless about. But you know when you need something because you feel like a physical lack, an anxiety, a concern. That's when you start to get nitpicky about other people and when you start to get nitpicky with yourself. So this is a wonderful lunar cycle to ask, what do I need? Especially since Sun will go into Taurus Thursday, April 19th. And so this is going to help shift the energy into a little bit more a space where you feel a lot more comfortable than this last month. Instead of going, who's going to react next and what the hell are they going to say? And also, how am I going to react? Oh my God, what am I going to say? Instead of that, it's like, okay, how do things function? This Sun and Taurus energy is going to go really nicely with your Sun and Virgo energy, both of them being Earth, both of them being down to earth, being humble, being practical, being very logical in a very hands-on sensorial way of, okay, instead of like this is a strange analogy Spirit is giving me, the universe is giving me, but it's like if you break your arm in this last transit, it would have been like, ah, oh, fuck, I got. Whereas in this one, it's like, okay, it's broken, that sucks, it hurts, I'm angry, but I need to get this fixed. So that's what's really nice, is these energies are, even though Mercury is still in Aries and the shadow period from the Mercury retrograde will still be present until May 4th. So we still have this Aries energy, a little bit more focusing on the mindset of this last lunar cycle. We are moving forward in a very nice, measured, practical, stable, grounded, logical way. Now, does that mean that everybody's going to be quote unquote logical? No. And there's going to be a lot of stubborn people clinging to what they think, what they want, what they need, but not in a healthy way. This is what I need. Not like, oh, I need this, so I need to do positive things that don't hurt other people and focus on what I need. No, some people are going to be, but it's okay. Let people mess up as they will. Focus on your well-being. Focus on making the best life possible for those around you, and all will be well. And that's true for any transit, but especially during a transit like this, because there are going to be certain times that people will be a little bit grating during this transit, not only because of the Mercury and Aries energy, but also because Venus goes into Gemini Tuesday, April 24th. I am a Gemini. I have no illusions, though, that Gemini can be really annoying for Virgo energy. When we talk so much, we're so much in ideas, but it's like, okay, but yeah, what are you doing? How are you putting it into practice? How are you helping people? And it's like, yeah, well, I'll get to that. I just want to think more. So that's kind of present as per Venus and Gemini energy, this transit, from Tuesday, April 24th on way, I think it's May something, I can't remember, but it's past the end of this lunar cycle. We'll cover that in the next edition of New Moon News. It's an energy that can be very pleasant and very fun. That's the positive side of how Gemini and Virgo energy interact. So you're going to be able to communicate with other people a lot more in a light-hearted, fun, more communicative, verbal way, and there's going to be a lot of laughing, definitely, but there's going to be times when some people say things where you're just like, oh, you're talking too much and you're saying so little. That times like that, it's best to just kind of remove yourself from the situation, at least for until about May 4th. So from the 24th of April, when Venus goes into Gemini, to May 4th, and really even before then, since Mercury is going to still be in its shadow period, and freshly so, since it just went direct on Sunday, April 15th, the beginning of this lunar cycle, it is going to be a good idea to just kind of, I'll talk about it another time, or I won't talk about it at all. Now is not the time. What's really beautiful is Mars and Saturn are both helping you. They're in an Earth energy each. They're both in Capricorn, and so being an Earth sign, that's trine, and so it's a nice, easy, it's like, okay, people can say and think and even do whatever they like, but at the end of the day, they really can't stop you from doing what you need to do. And that's what's beautiful about this time, is can you communicate with others wonderfully during this time? Can you have a lot of laughs? Can you enjoy yourself? Absolutely. Can you network wonderfully? Absolutely. But this is more a time of just like focusing on what you need, focusing on what you need to do in particular, and just getting it done. More so than what other people are saying or thinking or even doing, because ultimately that Mars and Saturn and Cap energy is going to be checking a lot of people during this time for you. So you don't even have to say like, that's a dumb idea. I mean, sometimes you will have to say that. So if somebody gets in your face and they won't go away, and you just have to, I mean, no need to be mean about it, but this is a time of just identifying this is what is. I mean, all times are a time of identifying, but especially with Mercury being in Aries, it is a time of saying, this is what I think, take it or leave it. That can be very helpful during this time. So it's just good to kind of balance it out. It's like, okay, is this a time to say what I really think, or is this person just, they need to go figure it out another way, maybe the hard way? That's something that's really good to keep in mind during this transit. Because largely you're seeing a really sweet time. Again, maybe some challenging social interactions um, because people just aren't thinking through what they're saying very well. But overall, you're stable. You're focused on your work. You're focused on your skills. You're focused on your what makes you happy, what you're able to build, both here and over the next 2 years, over the next 30 years. These Mars and Saturn transits in Capricorn are very long term in nature. So this is a really exciting time. Just look to what you have to accomplish right now to build for the future in an enduring and lasting and stable way, and you're gonna have a wonderful month, truly. It is good to keep in mind that Saturn will go retrograde in Capricorn on Tuesday, April 17th, very shortly after this. Now, this happens for about 5-6 months every year. All the outer planets take about 5-6 months retrograde time period. And what this means is just things will be able to move forward. Just like with the Mercury retrograde transit, things will be able to move forward. It's going to be a little bit more introspective. For this case, it's like, okay, what do I need to learn from the past? What do I need to apply from the past, both in experiences and techniques and wisdom and anything practical? How do I take that and build in the future, in the present, to build the future that I want? This is going to be a big theme for the next 6 months. Does this mean you can't build forward? No, of course not. You can absolutely build forward during this time. It's just wise to take your time. So we're looking at this month going just step by step, slow going. Don't get wrapped up in other people's drama or biases. Focus on what you got to do, and it's going to be a great month for you. Infinite love to you, my friend. Namaste. One last thing. So Mercury will go into Taurus May 13th. That'll be really beautiful for stabilizing even further. We'll cover that in the next edition of New Moon News. But it's really good to consciously look back when Mercury was in Aries moving forward steadily from March 6th to the 22nd to see, okay, what was I thinking about then? What was I trying to get done? What was I focused on? What was I trying to do? And then focus on what happened from the retrograde period from March 22nd to April 15th and ask what didn't quite go right. Like, what was I not expecting? What subconsciously came up? What had I not cleaned up and figured out before that came back to, get in my face and take up all my energy? And it's good to combine those two things. So it's like, okay, this is what I was originally doing, and I want to continue on that, but also I want to take the wisdom I learned from that retrograde period and move forward. And here we are now. And especially from May 4th until May 13th, it will be a huge leap forward. But that's what's really nice is May 13th, that's when it all stabilizes. So for you, I don't see a huge problem in it going too forward too quickly. But that is good to keep in mind from May 4th to the 13th to just be focused on, okay, this is great, a huge burst of energy, but let's make sure that we stabilize it in the long term. And that's where all this Taurus energy comes in, both now and in the next lunar cycle with Mercury, our ruling planet. Namaste.